As the Buddha once said, "You will not be punished for your anger. You will be punished by your anger." But let's be honest, staying calm when life throws chaos our way? Easier said than done. So, how do we master the art of unshakable tranquility? How do we navigate the noise without letting it consume us? Wisdom teaches us a simple trick. Act as if nothing bothers you. Not in a careless way, but in a way that gives you power over your reactions. Let's step into the world of Buddhism, where ancient teachings hold the secrets to mastering our emotions and reclaiming our peace. First lesson: listen twice as much as you speak. Sounds simple, right? But the truth is, most of us are just waiting for our turn to talk. Real listening. That's an art. The Buddha once said, "To understand everything is to forgive everything." And that's the key. Understanding breeds compassion. When we listen, truly listen, we tap into something deeper. It's not just about registering words. It's about grasping the emotions behind them. It's about stepping into someone else's reality for a moment instead of staying trapped in our own thoughts. And here's the magic. The more we understand, the less we judge. The less we judge, the lighter we feel. So the question is, are we really listening, or are we just waiting for our turn to speak? If you're ready to see the world differently, hit that subscribe button and turn on the notifications. Let's continue this journey together. Have you ever noticed how most people listen just to respond, not to understand? It's like they're waiting for their turn to speak, rather than actually absorbing what's being said. But here's the twist. When you truly listen, you're not just hearing words. You're decoding emotions, fears, and unsaid thoughts. It's not about filling the silence with noise, but about finding meaning in it. Buddha once said, "To understand everything is to forgive everything." Think about that for a second. It means real understanding goes beyond words. It's about stepping into someone else's reality, even if just for a moment. And let's be honest, we all love to talk, to be heard, to make our presence known. But the ones who listen, they hold the real power. When you speak less and listen more, your words gain weight. They stop being just sound and start carrying meaning. And it's not just about people. Listening extends beyond conversations. Have you ever really listened to silence? To nature? To the things left unsaid by those who don't have a voice? When you do, the world stops feeling like a chaotic mess and starts making a little more sense. You begin to see patterns, recognize emotions, and connect in ways words never could. Listening isn't passive. It's the key to unlocking a deeper level of awareness. The more you listen, the more you understand. And the more you understand, the less the small things bother you. Now imagine life as a long, winding journey through a dense forest. Along the way, you meet people. Some kind, some bitter, some who love to give unsolicited advice, and others who project their own fears onto you. But here's the thing. Their words are just signposts, not absolute truths. Buddha, in his infinite wisdom, once said, "Do not dwell in the past. Do not dream of the future. Concentrate the mind on the present moment." Think about how much of our stress comes from carrying the weight of other people's opinions. We let one comment ruin our day, one disapproving look shake our confidence. But why? If someone hands you a gift and you refuse to take it, who does it belong to? Them. The same applies to negativity. If you don't accept it, it's not yours to carry. The truth is, people will always have opinions. Some will be wise, some will be nonsense, and some will just be projections of their own insecurities. The trick is to filter through the noise. Take what helps you grow, discard what doesn't, and most importantly, Never let someone else's perception dictate your reality. Because at the end of the day, the only voice that should have the final say in your life is yours. Ever noticed how people always have something to say about your life? It's almost like you're walking through a crowded market, and every passerby is eager to offer their unsolicited advice, whether you asked for it or not. But here's the thing. You wouldn't let a random stranger grab your hand and steer you down an unfamiliar road, right? So why let their words dictate the path of your life? It's easy to get caught up in what others think, whether it's approval, criticism, or just casual judgment. But remember, they're not the ones who have to walk in your shoes. Their voices, background noise, your choices, your compass. Taking advice is one thing, but handing over the map of your life to someone else? That's like letting a blind man navigate for you. And when you truly embrace this mindset, something powerful happens. You stop living for validation and start living for yourself. You stop trying to fit into expectations that were never yours to begin with. You become the main character of your own story, not an extra in someone else's. And that's freedom. Now, speaking of freedom, let's talk about the one thing none of us can escape: pain. The Buddha, in his infinite wisdom, said, "Pain is certain. Suffering is optional." Sounds poetic, but let's break it down. Life will throw punches. Some will sting, some will knock the wind out of you, and some, they'll feel like a freight train running you over. But here's the catch. You get to decide whether you stay down or get back up. Picture life as an ocean. The waves, they'll keep coming. Some days they're gentle ripples, barely noticeable. Other days, they're monstrous, dragging you under. Now you can either fight the waves, exhausting yourself in a losing battle, or you can learn to float. Acceptance isn't about giving up. It's about understanding that not everything is in your control. It's about being prepared, like keeping a life jacket on board, knowing that storms will come, but also knowing you won't sink. When you accept this truth, fear loses its grip. The unknown, it stops being a monster hiding under your bed. Failure, just another lesson. So the real question is, are you willing to let go of what you can't control and finally live? And hey, if this hit home, you know what to do. Subscribe, hit that bell icon, and let's keep this journey going. Ever notice how life has a way of testing you when you least expect it? You're walking along, thinking you've got it all figured out, and then, boom, life pulls the rug out from under you. And in that moment, you have two choices. Fight reality and make it worse, or accept it and move forward. That's what real strength is. Not the ability to avoid failure, but the ability to embrace it. Because here's the truth. Failure is the tuition fee for success. You don't get to learn, grow, or improve without stumbling a few times. And yet, so many people fear it like it's some kind of death sentence. But let me ask you this. When you were a kid learning to walk, did you just give up the first time you fell? Of course not. You got back up, again and again. No overthinking, no self-doubt, just pure determination. Somewhere along the way, we unlearn that resilience. We start believing that falling means we're not good enough, that making mistakes means we should quit. But in reality, every mistake is a sculptor, chiseling away the unnecessary, shaping you into something greater. Every failure is a rough draft of success, just waiting to be rewritten. Think about it. The most successful people in history didn't avoid failure. They walked straight into it, learned from it, and kept going. Because they understood one thing. Failure isn't the opposite of progress. It is progress. So what's stopping you? Is it the fear of looking foolish? The fear of wasting time? Or the fear of admitting that you tried and didn't get it right the first time? Because if that's the case, let me tell you something. Nothing wastes more time than standing still. At the end of the day, it's not about how many times you fall. It's about how many times you rise. Stronger, smarter, and completely unbothered by the failures that once scared you. So, are you ready to fail your way to success? If this made you think, you know the drill. Subscribe, hit the bell icon, and let's keep pushing forward together. Have you ever noticed how we humans have a talent for making life unnecessarily complicated? We turn simple decisions into endless debates, clutter our minds with things that don't matter, and chase after what we don't even need. But what if peace, real, unshakable peace, was hidden in simplicity? Buddha once said, "The way is not in the sky. The way is in the heart." Sounds poetic, but what does it actually mean? It means clarity isn't found in chasing external things. It's in understanding what truly matters. Picture your life as a garden. Now, not every flower in that garden deserves your attention. Some bloom with joy, filling your life with color. Others, they're just weeds, draining your energy, suffocating what actually nourishes you. Keeping life simple is like tending to that garden. You choose to water only what brings you peace and fulfillment. Think about it. A cluttered room feels overwhelming, right? But when you start clearing out the junk, suddenly the space feels lighter. The same goes for life. When we stop overcomplicating everything, when we strip away unnecessary drama, meaningless distractions, and the constant hunger for more, we actually start to see what's important. And no, simplicity isn't about giving up ambition or settling for less. It's about cutting the excess so you can focus on what actually aligns with your values, your relationships, and your inner peace. It's the difference between chasing the noise and embracing the quiet. Ever looked up at a starry night? It's vast, infinite, yet beautifully simple. No chaos, no clutter, just stillness and clarity. Imagine if your mind could feel that way. Imagine if your life could. So what's taking up space in your garden that doesn't need to be there? What's clouding your sky when you could be looking at the stars? And if this made you think, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. Because sometimes, a little reminder to declutter the mind is all we need. Ever met someone who just loves the sound of their own voice? The kind of person who talks and talks, convinced that the more words they throw around, the wiser they appear. But here's the catch. Real wisdom doesn't need a megaphone. Buddha once said, "A man is not called wise because he talks and talks again. But if he is peaceful, loving, and fearless, then he is in truth called wise." Think about that. Wisdom isn't about filling the air with words. It's about filling your actions with meaning. Humility is the difference between knowing something and needing everyone to know that you know something. It's not about pretending to be small or downplaying your achievements. It's about understanding that true wisdom doesn't scream for attention. It speaks through how you live. Imagine a truly wise person. Not the loudest in the room. Not the one demanding respect, but the one who carries themselves with a quiet strength. The one who doesn't need to prove anything because their presence already does. That's humility. It's power without arrogance, confidence without ego. But let's be real. Humility is hard. We all crave recognition. We want to be seen, heard, and validated. Yet the most respected people in history weren't those who demanded admiration. They were the ones who inspired it without trying. So ask yourself, are you speaking just to be heard, or are you actually saying something? Are you chasing applause, Or are you focused on being someone worth applauding? And if this made you rethink a few things, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. Because sometimes the quietest lessons are the ones that echo the loudest. Ever noticed how the loudest people in the room rarely have the most to say? True wisdom doesn't come with a megaphone. It comes with humility. A truly wise person doesn't need to dominate a conversation. They listen. They understand. And most importantly, they don't let their ego do the talking. When you let go of the need to prove yourself, you make room for something far more powerful: genuine connection. Humility isn't about being weak or staying silent. It's about knowing that you don't need to inflate yourself to be valuable. It's about approaching others with kindness instead of arrogance, listening instead of just waiting for your turn to speak. The moment you drop the need to be right all the time, you open the door to actually learning something. And you know what's funny? The people who think they know everything usually don't. But the ones who stay open, who admit they don't have all the answers, they're the ones who actually grow. Buddha once said, "Health is the greatest gift, contentment the greatest wealth, faithfulness the best relationship." But let's be honest, how many of us actually live by this? We chase money, status, and recognition, like they're the keys to happiness. But here's the cruel joke: none of it lasts. The car you drive, it'll rust. The house you bought, it'll age. The fancy clothes, one day they'll go out of style, or worse, come back in style. If your happiness is tied to things that fade, what happens when they do? Real wealth isn't in what you own. It's in how you live. It's in a shared laugh, a deep conversation, a moment of stillness that doesn't need anything extra to feel whole. Contentment isn't settling for less. It's realizing you already have enough. So, what are you chasing? And more importantly, is it really worth it? What if the richest person isn't the one with the most money, but the one with the deepest relationships? We spend so much time chasing wealth, status, and success that we forget the one thing that actually makes life meaningful: connection. Money can buy convenience, but it can't buy belonging. The people who truly have it all aren't the ones drowning in luxury. They're the ones surrounded by loyalty, trust, and love. Buddha reminds us that health is the greatest gift, contentment the greatest wealth, and faithfulness the best relationship. But in the chaos of life, we forget this simple truth. We sacrifice our well-being for a bigger paycheck. We chase after more, believing that happiness is always one achievement away. And in the process, we lose sight of the real treasure: peace. Contentment isn't about giving up. It's about realizing that you already have more than enough. It's in those quiet moments: a genuine laugh, a shared meal, a conversation that lingers long after it ends. That's the kind of wealth no one can steal from you. And as we walk this unpredictable road called life, let's not get so caught up in chasing things that we forget to cherish people. Because at the end of the day, the biggest loss isn't losing money. It's realizing too late that you were rich all along, but just didn't see it. So, what are you holding on to? And more importantly, what are you willing to let go? If this made you pause and think, hit subscribe and ring that bell. Because real wisdom, that's something worth keeping close.